So you need to just kind of, if you're okay with that, we wanted to record this so that folks that may not be able to make it can attend. So, Lauren, I think we'll get started. And how about you kick us off here?
Sounds good. My name is Lauren Thompson. I'm the technical assistance lead at Jari. So we have John Moore from Moore Power Sales with us today, and he has recorded the session for us so that we can upload it to our Expertise Matters section of our blog later on, so that people can go back and view it and take notes and anything like that. So today, John will be presenting how to present yourself to close the deal. So go ahead, John.
Okay, well, welcome everybody. We're thrilled to have you. I appreciate Jari, all that they do. And if you're not familiar a lot with what Jari does, make sure you plug in. They're always one of the best go-to places. No matter what you're needing, go there first and they can help you. So I'm very happy to be a partner. So again, if you can, I think we got it, turn on your camera, put your name in there. Let's do our best to make this as interactive as possible. I have topics that I'd like to cover, but at the end of the day, I want to make sure we do the very best we can to help you to make this hour and 15 worth your investment. So sales, all right? A lot of people think sell is a four-letter word. And yet, if we have a business or a nonprofit or anything, we really got to go out there and at the end of the day, let people know what we do and try to get them to make commitments to work with us. A lot of people have a lot of thoughts about selling and what it takes to be a salesperson. At the end of the day, I think it's about really understanding what our job is. And our job is really, which we're going to talk about today, is really trying to understand what would be the compelling reason for someone to want to work with us. And that's really all it is. It's about having a good conversation to find out what areas they're focused on. And at the end of the day, if we can help them to do that. We don't have to lose integrity. We don't have to lose our morals. We just have to have a process that we can communicate with people and in a process to negotiate what some of those landmines can be. About us, we've been here, 28 years, hard to believe. And hi, Peggy, thanks for being on. Everett, I know where Everett is. I'm in Altoona, and I live in Williamsburg, so I go there to get to the turnpike, all right, or to Breezewood. So anyway, and it did work with BC Stone. Their cabinet, their stone is all through our house. Beautiful. So anyway, we've been here since 1995, 28 years of bumps and bruises that I'll share with you. And beyond that, what do we do? Well, at the end of the day, what we do is we really help organizations in what we call the constant sales improvement process. You know, today there's with technology, competition, maybe a recession coming on. We can't stay the same. We've always got to be proactive. And so we kind of try to help people develop the kind of skills that they need to get their organization where they want to. You know, we help companies hire people. We help evaluate their teams. We evaluate salespeople as well as other positions. We look at the structure. Do we have the right structure in place, or does that need to be changed at all? And then we look at the different strategies that people need, and can we look at those? And can we look at those strategies? And bottom line, those are the different areas that we work with. Okay, so let's take a look at where we're going to go from here. And my button doesn't want to work all the time, so here we go. We do that through Sandler Training. Sandler Training is a worldwide organization where we work with companies in sales process, sales leadership, customer service. Objective Management Group, this is a group we work with out of Boston. And that's the group we use to evaluate sales people, sales teams, come back with findings on how to help them improve their organization, help them hire. And then TTI is an organization that we do a lot of communication, people skills. So bottom line, we do all these things with all these partners. Okay, my agenda. What's your agenda? What I'd like you to do is to just share what made you sign up today. What would be worth an hour of your time today that we can help focus directly with you? What are some things, some issues, some maybe some frustrations or things that you would like to walk away with today so that I can do my very best to make sure we get you there? So just come off mute and don't be shy. Make sure I do my job of making this fit for you. This is the interactive part. So what can I help you with? You signed up for a reason. You obviously got a lot of things you could do today, but what can we do to help you move the needle on your business today? And folks from Jari, anything you'd like to take away today? Anything you want to know? Anything we can help you with to help yourselves, your clients? I got a blank slate here for you today.
Hey, John.
Yes.
One problem that we're seeing at Pen Machine Company is contract reviews being held up in legal by both parties. So we need to we're learning to keep constant pressure on both our customer and with our legal departments, making sure this remains a hot topic so we can get to closing the deal. So we finally, get through the paperwork and let's just close the deal.
Yeah, I don't know how much I can help you with, but maybe I can focus there on keeping, making sure there's a sense of urgency. And one of the things, by the way, I don't have any handouts. I've got some things that we can send to you afterwards because I just wanted to work from where you are today. So I don't have any handouts or anything like that, but I have a really good, let me make a note here before I forget. I have a nice, call it a white paper, whatever you want. That'll cover a lot of what we cover today. It's just, 30 some pages or whatever. If you want a copy of that when we're done, just shoot me an email and we'll get it over to you. So I'm glad you reminded me on that. Anybody that would like that, I think I can PDF that over to you. So yeah, keeping a sense of urgency. One of the things that we have to do in today, especially today, is we've got to move things that we do from nice to have to need to have. So we got to build that sense of urgency. So we'll dive into that. So yeah, how you guys doing over there? You kind of lost your fearless leader there, huh?
Yes, sir, we did, but we're doing great. Thank you.
Good. Now that's what you get for bringing me in. See what it did? All right. Anybody else out there? What can we help you with?
This is Peggy in Everett.
Yeah.
I'm mostly here to learn and listen. I am a psychologist, so most of the time I'm doing behavioral health, and I don't need to do a lot of marketing and sales, it doesn't seem, because the need is usually greater than our capacity, especially in recent years. But I also do real estate. And so I would like to do more marketing on the real estate side of things. And I guess kind of know some of the basic psychology, but not specifically with regard to marketing. And then also having a good marketing business plan for some real estate development type things.
Okay.
And I guess being appealing to, whether it's a grant or contracts, that kind of thing.
Okay. I don't do marketing, but if it comes to interfacing with people, that's where we come in. So I'll try to, and I know certainly Jari can help you with that marketing aspect, but I'll try to put a few pieces in there, and your psychological background will be very, very applicable to what we do today.
Great.
So, all right, anything else? All right, I'm gonna jump right in then. We go from here. All right, so just shout out, why do people buy? I mean, isn't that what we really need to develop? Why do people buy? Why do they buy? Why do they buy from you?
It's a need.
Okay, there's some kind of a need, sure.
Or they think they need it.
Yeah, that could be too. They think they need it. And, you know, one of the things, I'm gonna just throw a lot at you today, so just jot down what works for you, put together a hot list. But one of the things that I think about is if people knew what they needed, they would have already got it. And that's our job, is to help them really understand what the issues are they're dealing with and how we, you know, how they need to approach those. So it's kind of a mindset. Yeah, they need something, they think they need something. Why else do people buy?
Maybe they read a good review or somebody they trust recommended it.
Yeah, maybe you got a review that people liked. Maybe, I think you said you got a referral, maybe. Right? Does referral have 2 L's or 1?
One.
Oh, good. Okay. All right, I get mixed up, Pasha, on writing, but anyway. Now I forget what you do. I may have seen it on the registration. What's your main focus, Pasha?
I do marketing and outreach for Jari.
Oh, good. Well, there you go. So if you're on the call today and you need some of that, boom, there you go. You're all set to go. All right, good. All right, so let's take a look at it. When it comes to a business development, sales rep, salesperson, if you're the business owner or whatever, what would you say our role is? What is the role of a sales rep, salesperson? What
To
is-
create awareness.
Okay, create awareness. All right, anything else?
Build relationships.
All right, good. Absolutely. Remember, people buy off of people, right? Regardless of all the things that are going on in the world, Amazon and all the other stuff and COVID, at the end of the day, people buy off of people. So we got to have those relationships. So anything else?
So
What is our role?
liaison between the customer and the company.
All right, yeah, we got to be that bridge. Yep, especially, you know, in a complex scenario that you're in. Well, I'm going to boil it down a little bit simpler from a mindset. At the end of the day, our main role is to either qualify or disqualify. There's other things obviously go along with it, but just we're gonna kind of go pretty black and white here today due to our time. But at the end of the day, my goal is really to qualify that opportunity or disqualify it as quick as I possibly can. There's a lot of traps out there that salespeople fall into. And again, some of those traps can be what we call free consulting. Okay. And what do we mean by free consulting? So free consulting are things where we give away our expertise. They ask us a lot of questions. Hey, here's my issue. Here's my problem. How do I solve it? What can you do for me? And without knowing it, in order to share our expertise that matters, we end up giving them a lot of free information. And what potentially, not always, but what potentially do they do with that free information? Use it to shop us around, use it to go online, use it to try to do it themselves, right? And so depending on our world, we've got to be very careful that our job is really to qualify or disqualify as quickly as possible. Well, how do we do that? All right, when somebody says, hey, why should I buy off of you? What would you tell them? Why would I buy off of you? Or, I don't know, and they may, I don't know you, maybe they meet you at a trade show, maybe they meet you at a networking event, maybe you cold call them. Why should I buy off of you? What might you say? Anybody? I know it's different for each person, but what might you say?
I know for Jari, at least, I mean, we're not selling a product. Our services are free, but when people come to us for small business microloans, they know that they're getting the extra hand holding. So I guess it's like added service.
Sure. Added professional service from an organization they can trust, sure. Why would I buy? I mean, do you ever get that question? Why would I go there? What do you guys do? Why would I buy off of you? If they're already using a particular organization, why would I change? You ever get questions like that? So why should we buy, why should they buy off of you or me or anybody, right? But the slide just says a little bit, do you think most salespeople are comfortable giving information or getting information? What do you think, anybody? Most salespeople, they more interested in giving information or gathering information? What are people more comfortable with?
I guess salespeople give information more often than.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you nailed it, right? Salespeople go out there and give a lot of information. Prospects are more comfortable gathering information. And so one of the things that we need to realize is we need to flip that. We need to do that opposite, and we need to be aware that our job as business development, salespeople, is to gather as much information because our end goal is to qualify or disqualify. Now, once people are qualified, once people decide they want to work with us, then they get our expertise and our information. If we give it away too soon, who knows what can happen. So the goal is in any kind of an interaction is to take the spotlight off of ourselves. Focus on that person, value that person, or I know with Pen Machine, you got a lot, they get very complicated, but the goal is take the focus off of me and focus on them. One of the best traits that salespeople have is not product knowledge, it's not expertise, although those are great. It's really curiosity. Genuine desire to understand, curiosity, one of the best tools that we have as salespeople. So how many people have what we call a milestone-centric selling process? Meaning it is a duplicatable, replicatable selling process. Certainly we use it and mix it up a little bit based on the scenario, but how many people have that? How many people are good at consultative selling? We know that if we go into an organization and if we just do one thing only, we help everybody adopt a systematic selling system right off the bat, we can gain and grow sales just that alone by 15%. So we have to have a process, and we're only going to focus on a couple of those pieces today. We want to look at what are the stages of building that relationship and building that business. And they really begin in 3 stages. One is, building that relationship with the people on that opportunity. We had to be able to engage and build that relationship. And what's the goal of building that relationship? When you go to build a relationship with somebody, What is it you want to, how would you describe it as being successful? What would be your adjectives for that?
Friendly,
Okay, friendly. I want it to be a relationship of trust, and I want them to see me as an advisor. Here's something that's fascinating. We've done some research about a year ago, and it's fascinating that somewhere around 53 to 55% of people, organizations, business to business, want to bring salespeople into the conversation way later in the process, midway or later in the process. That's up 10 points since 2009. An overall survey showed that 76 or 79% of people would like to be able to make a purchasing decision without dealing with a salesperson. Okay, so that is a big change, and we have got to be ready to deal with that. And one of them is to be that trusted advisor. One of the things they said was in where they go to buy, first they go to where they've done business before. The second place they go is basically subject matter experts. Salespeople came in number 7. Websites came in even after that in the new changing. So again, we've got to find a way to be that advisor and not looked at as a peddler. We've got to qualify, and we'll talk about what that is. So that's the second stage, not the steps, but the stage of the qualifying the opportunity, and then closing it is the last stage, if we get that far. And so when we do that, yeah, we've got to find a way of how we build that relationship. And it is a science. You talked about psychology. There's a lot of that goes into it. It's never about manipulation. It's never about being disingenuous. It's really about being authentic. It's also about, one of the things that I find, if I work with a lot of, like we call non-selling professionals, whether accounting, engineering, law, whatever. But one of the things they don't train anywhere is people skills. That doesn't mean that they're bad at it. It just means people buy from people. We need to understand ourselves, our own blind spots, and we need to understand people. How many people have ever had a deal that they were chasing? How many people have a sales cycle that's going way too long? Well, we've got to go ahead and set the agreement on how we're going to play together. And this, again, is building the relationship. And we need to make sure that for every meeting that we have with a potential client, customer, prospect, we have an agreement on the time. We have an agreement on what the agenda is, which is so many times not the same. And then we got to make sure we've got an agreement of what the outcome is. And there's really, just for the sake of time, 2 outcomes. Either no, this is as far we go for now, or yes, we got to define what that next step is. But for the most part of what today is, we're going to be working on the qualification part. We're going to spend most of our time today on this, what we call pain. You've heard the term pain a lot. We're going to dive into what it really means. When do you want to find out when and if the person or the company you're dealing with has the resources to buy off of you or to work with you or engage in your solution? Do you want to find that out after you did the work, after you gave them a proposal, after you dumped away all your expertise, after you did a demo, after you did a design? When do you want to find that out? After you did that, or maybe before? Real estate, I'm sure you're getting in there and finding out, what range of how they can afford, right? So, you probably dive into that fairly early on. We all have to do that. So we got to talk about the investment, and the investment goes beyond dollars. It goes, how many times have you tried to work with somebody, but they weren't open to change? They weren't open to doing anything different, right? So we got to talk about all the investments. What are the commitments that you and I have to make in order to get you where you want to go? So we got to look at that. We got to find out who can say no in a decision-making process, right? Who's out there, and that's what you're finding out maybe in that legal world, right? How's that getting involved? What are all the potential roadblocks there? If we get that far, then we present what might be our solution, whatever. But when we do it, how many times do you go to a presentation or a sales rep comes in and they tell you everything they want to tell you about them? Maybe nothing you're interested in. So what our job is then is to create a presentation that's totally in alignment with them, what their issues are, what their investment needs to be, their decision-making process. And then lastly, we make sure that deal is locked down. So we're going to focus mainly today on this piece here. Before I go any further, any questions or anything that I may have confused you with? All right, so let's keep going. Qualifying. It all begins with qualifying. And so we're going to spend our time really understanding this overused term pain. But let's find out what it really is. So I want you to, on a piece of paper, if you want to throw it in chat, that's fine as well. But I want you to write down, what are the solutions you're great at? Just take a minute, just jot them down, bullet point them, whatever. What are the things that you guys are absolutely great at in what you do? Okay, this is the working part. You got to do some work here. All right. All right, now, this is where we got to begin to think differently. What I want you to know, to kind of put down in point number 2 is basically, don't tell me what you do. Tell me more so, what are the problems that you actually solve? So, certainly with Pen Machine, you help them get their gears and their units up and running. Maybe in the past, they've been dealing with a current supplier that's got long lead times. They may not have the expertise to design the parts, manufacture the parts. There may be quality control issues. They may be difficult to deal with. When it comes to real estate, you can have a real estate agent that doesn't know what they're doing, wastes people time by not understanding what that person really is looking for, drives them all over, showing them houses or real estate they're not interested in. So nobody really cares what you do. People care about the problems that they have that they want help fixing. And lastly, will people have some kind of an emotional reaction if they don't get their problem solved? Okay. Now, I'm going to get your feedback here, so just stop for a second and help me understand. Are there any? Jump on here. Are there any questions about that so far? All right, jump in there a little bit and help me out. Did I make my point? And
Yes.
Okay, good. All right, I'm going to call on you. So this ain't good. All right, hold on. Who do we want to call on? Ron, we already called on you, I think, right? So who else out there? Peggy, I know you want to talk about real estate, I believe, right?
Sure.
Okay, so what are the problems? Now, I assume you do mostly residential or what?
I have a mix. It's more residential than commercial.
Okay,
Residential, though, I honestly don't need any help selling that. The supply demand, again,
Hmm,
there's really just, we have put something out for rent, it picks up. I did have a problem leasing a commercial space, but that's eventually kind of come around. One thing I'd like to sell, so to speak, more is that I have a short-term vacation rental,
Hmm.
like an Airbnb type property.
yeah. Well, what are okay, so let's talk about Airbnb or a property like that. What are some of the problems people have when they want to engage in that? Maybe the property isn't as represented. What are some of the pains? Well, maybe the pains are, we've been to a couple, we've used that service before. We've rented some properties in the past that weren't anywhere near what they said they were. We found that it was the people we dealt with was cumbersome. We found that when he showed up at the property, it was dirty, it was not well maintained.
Mhm.
So those are some of the pains. It was difficult to book, you couldn't get a hold of people. That's the kind of thing we want to be listening for, right? And maybe having a conversation with people about. So, and then if there's any commercial real estate or something like that. So, all right, let's dive into it. Now, you're going to like this part. All right. We dive into this part here. All right, let me go back to share screen. There and there. Okay. So we dive into this. This is the brain. Now, I got real problems here because we got a PhD on there. And so usually as a sales rep, I can say whatever I want and get away with it, but not today. All right. So we've got three parts of the brain. Big picture. We got the reptilian brain, and the reptilian brain is that fight or flight instinct, right? A deer runs out in front of you, you slam the brakes on, boom, that's the reptilian response. The limbic system is indeed the feeling system. It's the system of emotions. It's the feeling part of the brain and of us. And then the cortex is certainly the rational, right? So of these parts of the brain, which is the part of the brain that makes decisions? Now, Peggy, you can't answer because you know. But how about somebody else? Is it the rational? Is it the emotional? Is it the reptilian part of the brain? Anybody? Somebody guess.
Rational.
Yeah, right. It would make sense that we would think it's the rational brain, right? However, it's not. The rational brain gathers information, but only the limbic brain has the ability to make decisions. And how does it do that? It makes it based on the feeling. This is where trust comes from. This is where beliefs come from. This is where we, at the end of the day, have the capacity to make decisions. Right? Yeah, am I right on that one, Peggy?
Yes.
Oh, good. Oh, good. I got away with it. Good. Anyway, I was
I
probably.
wish people made more decisions in the frontal lobe.
Yeah, right. Well, that's exactly right. Yeah. It's emotions. Now, here's my question for everybody. So, when you talk, when somebody says, "Hey, why do I want to buy off you?" or "What do you guys do?" Well, a lot of times we've been trained to give our features and benefits. Correct. So, what are some of your features and benefits? Anybody? Shout them out. Just shout them out. I'll write them up on the board. Well, I think we heard expertise. Right, we got a lot of expertise. We got a lot of experience. What else? Shout them out.
Convenient location.
Yeah, Convenient, uh-oh. I didn't spell that right, did I? It's I before E. Okay, convenient location, sorry. Boy, that's embarrassing, anyway. Darn pen, you pay all this money for these pens, they can't spell. All right, convenient location. What else?
Customer support.
Good, service, support, all of the above. Good. Now, my question to you is this. If your potential client, customer, prospect went to your arch competitor, hey, why would we buy off of you? What do you guys do? What makes you better? What would you hear from your competitor? We've got expertise. We've got great location. We've got great service. Would you hear something, or would your prospect hear something similar to that? So the bottom line is, the more we try to talk about our features and our benefits, the more we end up sounding just like our competition. Now let's go back to the science of the brain. Right? If we said that the emotional part of the brain is actually the part that makes decision, at the end of the day, we've been selling features and benefits to the rational brain. This makes sense. We're better. We've got service, all those things. We're selling to the wrong part of the brain. And so what we've got to do, and this is not about manipulation in any way, shape, or form, it's about really understanding what might be the emotional reason to do business. And by the way, what most salespeople do is tell you their reasons as to why you might want to buy. In reality, we need to get it the other way around. We need to do a great diagnosis of what does that person need? What is their quote unquote pain? And so pain is a compelling. This is the problem. We've got to get it to compelling. Otherwise, we don't have that urgency. Otherwise, it just goes down deeper and deeper. And we end up in the chase mode. It's got to be emotional to change, to do something different, a compelling emotional reason. We've got to be hearing things like frustration. I'm frustrated. I'm upset. I'm angry. I'm tired of this. Oops, tired. I'm confused. So at the end of the day, we need to be listening for those type of words. And how do we do that? We do it by asking great questions. On a sales call, we should be speaking only 30% of the time and listening 70% of the time. To do that, we've got to have a lot of great questions. And so pain at the end of the day is a gap between what that individual company wants and what they have now. That's what we're trying to find out. That's what selling really is. It's a conversation about where are you now? Where are you now? Whatever it is. I'm looking for a rental place. I want to open a business. I need to. I need some help with my manufacturing. We need to keep these cars in service. Whatever those things are, whatever your business is, and that's whether it's a profit, non-profit, whether it's a manufacturer, service, doesn't matter. our selling call, it's not about what we do, it's about a diagnostic. We're doing a investigation and we're finding out where are they now, or what are their expectations? And what is it? This is what they have now. What do they want? And if this is their expectations, what is reality? Our job then is to find out, is there in fact a gap between these two? And if there is a gap, our job is to try to expand that gap to the point where it becomes from nice to have to need to have, from a minor irritation to urgency. So let me stop. Get some questions, observations, feedback on this part right here. We're giving you a lot in a short period of time. So I want to make sure we hit a home run here today. What is this? Are you getting anything out? Are you making any sense here? Am I confusing you? Where are we on this? Okay, so we're totally confused, which is great because that keeps me engaged longer. All right. So now, when we talk about pain, depending on our world, there's 4 different places or positions, I should say. There's pain in the present. So how many of you deal with pain in the present? Pain means we're in a scenario now, having issues. It's currently down, it's in there right now. Okay, that could be, I need to find a house. It could be, we're trying to start a business. We need financing. It could be, we have we have passenger cars or cars, transit cars that aren't moving. But that's pain in the present. Pain in the future means right now we're okay, but I'm worried about supply. I'm worried about regulation. I'm worried about the economy. I'm worried about down the road. So that's pain. There's a gap, there's concern, there's worry. And I listen for that in a call. We're doing okay now, but I'm worried about. That's pain. Now I've got the emotional brain open.
Hey, John,
Yes, please.
I think if you go back to that last slide, the expectations versus reality slide, sometimes people don't know what solutions are out there because they're giving something from the OEM and they put all their trust in the OEM as the end all and be all. But it comes with certain faults, it comes with certain setbacks. They're subject to their sub-suppliers and whatnot. So when you bring in a product that's differentiating, they have to be made aware that there is something better, whether it be 10% or whether it be 50% better than, or it could save them some time, let's say,
Sure.
on a repair procedure or life of a product or something. So they have, sometimes these buyers, they don't get the opportunity to be educated by other people in the industry. And so you get a lot of this information sitting face to face with them and understanding what their pain points are, what they're having struggles with.
Yeah. Great point. Exactly right. The problem is if we show up and tell them about something that we do and try to show them that, but they don't have a pain to that, or they don't know they have a pain to that, then they kind of step back, minimize it and say, well, we already got that. So this is where this whole process of doing the diagnosis helps. So they come up and they say something like, these gears, they're supposed to last, I don't know, 10,000 hours or miles, whatever,
Yep.
but we're only getting about 7 or 8 out of them. And then now we've got a gap. Before we go in and tell them that our gears will last longer, we got to make sure that they come back and tell us that's an issue. So yeah, good point. Now, on the other point, we have gain in the present. And I suspect that's like where you are, Peggy. They want to go on a vacation, or they want to rent a house or something like that. So they want something now, right? And that's good too. We want to hear what that is. Or they want gain in the future, which might be, down the road. They want to have retirement money, or they want to have a retirement property, or they want to have a better home, or whatever. So if I'm looking for pain, the best is here. Second best is here. Third and fourth. And so what we've got to do is we've got to try to do everything we can, move these up to the present. And that's why we end up chasing, is when we can't do that. So what we have here, my point in showing this slide is our goal is to ask great questions. And Peggy, you have a very unfair advantage because that's been your training, isn't it? Right? You ask questions, right? Right? Somebody says, they come to you and say, why, what can I help you with? I don't like myself. Well, and then you reply, well, I don't like you either, but why do you wouldn't say that. You would ask good questions. But as salespeople, we've been trained to tell them all we know. We've been trained to spit out our features and benefits, when in reality, we need to do what you do and diagnose and ask questions. And I don't ask these exact questions, but I ask questions like this. So if somebody said to me, we would like to, we're looking for some commercial warehousing space. Well, a typical realtor says, or even you guys at Jari, oh, okay, let's look at our property board. Hey, we got this one, that one, this one, and that one. In reality, first thing we want to say is, okay, tell us what you're looking for. Tell us a little more about that. If they said to you at Penn, we're struggling with, getting some of these parts to meet our specifications, the temptation at that point is to say, well, our design team will come up with the exact specs. We have the ability to get that within 1/1,000,000th of a tolerance, whatever. When in reality, we want to say, well, when you say you're having parts that aren't meeting specs, can you give me an example? Excuse me. Excuse me. Can you give me an example about that? And when we do that, we begin to engage the limbic brain and get to the truth. So here, we're trying to find out what is the problem. Down here, we want to find out why are they having the problem? Why aren't they getting a solution? Why do they need our help? Maybe the incumbent supplier isn't helping them. Maybe the people they're talking to don't have the expertise. But the bottom line is, it's not our data, it's their data, and we want to get that data on the table. And then the last part of the pain picture is the impact. And this is the one we've got to get. Impact means, I don't say it necessarily this way, but what is it costing them to live without our solution? Can they live without it? Is the pain of living with the issue less pain than change? People will fight change. And so that's what we're looking at. These are the three elements of what a complete pain step sounds like. Now, you don't have to be an expert, just ask great questions. Hold back with every ounce of emotional intelligence in your body that urge to jump in and tell them how you can fix it, how you can solve their issues. This is where it all starts and ends. It's basically having a conversation. What are the issues, challenges, problems? What are your frustrations? What's the urgency? Basically, we're going in there and saying, hey, this is what we do, but you need to prove to me you need it. Why would you even need it? So it's a pretty big mind shift. The problem is people don't argue with their own data, but if I try to give them my data, they'll argue with me all day long. So my goal is to just basically hold back and find out what is their data, what are their issues. So when it comes to pain, a couple bullet points here. People don't buy features and benefits. They buy an answer to pain. This is kind of a tongue in cheek, but if your competition is doing something, find a way to do it differently. If you can't find pain, there's no sense doing a presentation. There's no sense going any further. Now, some of you, your presentations may be very expensive, right? It may have to go into design, you may have to go into purchasing, depending on your organization, but don't ever go there. If there's no pain, there's no compelling reason, it's not going anywhere. And then we talked about if the prospect or your customer knew what the solution was, they'd have probably had it by now. So our mindset needs to be, when I show up, there's something going on. There's a gap. There's something in their world that they don't know how to fix. They probably think they do because, a lot of times today, depending on the industry, they want to do everything they can to minimize us. They want to make us feel not important. They want to make us a commodity and then just go ahead and beat us up on pricing, rates, commissions, whatever. Remember, people buy emotionally. They'll decide from an intellectual standpoint, but at the end of the day, they're going to make that real decision from the emotional reasons. And then what they'll do is they'll give you justification intellectually. The slide should really say they buy emotionally and they will justify it intellectually. Mindset. You can't lose anything you don't have. So we need to get down to the truth. We need to ask some tough questions sometimes. We need to be convinced that they really need what we do. Our job is just to uncover the truth, even if it's what we don't want to hear. And so if we do find pain, and you're not always going to, and that pain is compelling enough, the next step is to talk about how much it's going to cost. What are the commitments that need to be made? Okay, if you're selling a part that's $2,500, we got to get on the table. What do they think it's going to be? What are they paying now? What investments have to be made in order to fix their issues? Because if they're thinking that the part's going to be $1,500 and we know it's going to be $2,500, no diagram is going to get over that. But what we have to do, and here's what happens, this is where we get cross-wired. Most of the time, money gets put in front of the pain. How much is it? I want a quote on this. That's more than we thought. You cost more than who we're buying off of now. Well, that's backwards. Why should we be talking about money when we don't even know there's a reason to do it? So we got to start and we got to find out what are those compelling reasons. And then we got to find out all the decision-making criteria, all the different people in the decision process. If we get that far, you're probably going to get the business. You're probably not, if you don't get that far, you shouldn't be here anyway. So closing should be the whole thing I put in that flyer that Lauren helped me with is at the end of the day, it's not the close that's the problem. It's everything that happened for it that we either didn't do, we didn't get it on the table, we didn't get commitments along the way. So at the end of the day, it's never the close, it's everything that happened before it. That's the main thing I wanted us to take away with today. A couple mindsets. A lot of times people are focused on the end. They got this big picture of getting the business, getting the deal, getting it, and that takes us away from being present in the moment. So I will follow the process and whatever the outcome is, it's outcome. It's what it is. I don't need the business. Now, this isn't to be arrogant. This isn't to be cocky. It's just, you know what? I may want the business, but I don't need the business. Mindset. I'm a minimum of 10 times return on investment belief system. I'm not here to get my needs met. I'm here to get the business and help people. I'm the cure for sales frustrations. You put in what you're the cure for. And bottom line is there really a mutually beneficial reason for us to work together? If there is, wonderful. If there isn't, no harm, no foul. So I got to have the right mindset. And you know what? It's going to risk. But isn't that why we're here? We're risking, we're growing, we're going to try some things new. All right, we're wrapped up time-wise, but a couple things I'd like you to do. If you could just throw either in the chat or if you have any particular questions. Anybody on the call? Anything that you took away today? We didn't give you a lot of time, but anything you took away from today's little hour-long program? Any lessons learned? One thing surprised you? One thing you might work on trying a little bit differently? Anybody out there? What? I interrupted you. Sorry. Again?
Sell to the emotion rather than the logical.
Yeah. Listen to what that emotions are. Yeah, good. And again, we're not doing this to be manipulative. It's the way that it's the biology of the brain. Listening for that listening for that frustration, that emotional high, that pain. Yeah, good. Let's find the emotions and then let's try to help them. And that's where people will decide. Thank you. Any others out there today? Any other takeaways? Anything that surprised you? All right. Number one rule we have is you got to learn to fail to win. That's the way we grow. That's what life is all about. We win by learning how not to do something. All right, to wrap up today, a couple of things I just mentioned. If you have any interest in being on our email list, we send something out about weekly, good white papers, different events. If we're not, shoot me an email or go out on LinkedIn and let's connect. If anybody has a desire to attend one of our sessions here, again, we do it remotely or in person. If there's something you had a question on we didn't get, let me know. Or if you want to copy that white paper on why salespeople fail, that goes into maybe some more detail, just email me, let me know, and we'll make sure we get that to you. And so with that, I'm going to have go back to you, Lauren. It sounds like you kept the dogs quiet and everything's under control at your place. So do you want to just wrap us up and send us on our way?
Yeah, they did bark one time, but I was muted then, so it's all good. Thank you, John, for taking the time to give us that information today. I think you gave some good points that really make you think about what you're doing versus what you could be doing. So I think that was good to hear. As of right now, I don't have any other lunch and learns or expertise matters webinars scheduled, but we'll be looking at scheduling some throughout the summer. So if you're interested in attending any, just respond whenever I send them out and we can get you on the registration list. And then if you think of any questions later on and you want a connection with John, just contact me directly and I can get you in touch with him. Or if you want to reach out to John, that would work too. So thank you.
Yeah, and like I say, if you may have other people, friends that could benefit from all the different things that Jari provides. The Jari Business Development Center, beautiful place. All the things that are there, it can be truly a one-stop shop for your business or other businesses. Whether they're looking for a location, whether they're got a problem sourcing something, whether they got a problem in manufacturing something. Jari has such a wide footprint. Financing that you may not be aware of, government programs, grants, all those things that we don't know are there. You got a one-stop shop. So, hey, everybody, thank you for being on. Thank you for Lauren for sponsoring me. And I wish all of you good selling. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank
You're
you.
welcome. I'm going to stop recording.